My dad screamed because he was worth it. At my grandma's 75th birthday party, 30 relatives froze, and my mom's mouth just hung open. 10 minutes earlier, they'd been calling me a liar. By the time I hit the highway, I'd blocked them both. I was 14 when mom sat me down and told me I was going to live with Uncle Steve. She said he needed help with his autistic son like I was volunteering. Sometimes we make sacrifices for family, she said. I asked what sacrifice my brother was making. She stared past me. Dad stared into his coffee. That night, my life became 2 suitcases and 3 boxes. Uncle Steve opened the door and didn't sugarcoat it. "I'm sorry this is happening to you," he said. Looking back, that apology was the first honest thing an adult said to me in years. I slept on a pull-out couch and helped Jamie learn shoes, routines, and words. I kept wondering when my parents would finally call and act like parents again. They never did. 16th birthday? Nothing. Graduation invite? Ignored. Steve sat front row, handed me flowers, and said he was proud. That hit harder than any "I love you" I'd ever heard. I worked through college, got licensed, and bought into Steve's business. I renamed it Davis Construction, my last name, not theirs, and we grew. Then Grandma's invitation showed up. Country club. I almost trashed it. Steve said maybe seeing them would close the door in my head, so I went straight from a job site in dusty boots. Mom looked like she'd seen a ghost. Dad looked polished. My brother was showing off engagement photos. Aunt Karen whispered, "Who's that?" Mom said too quickly, "That's our daughter." Karen blinked. "You told us she was in Europe consulting." So they'd invented a whole fake version of me, a successful daughter overseas. Easier than admitting they shipped the real one away and never checked if I was alive. Dad started selling the lie at the table. Big travel, big projects, that's why I couldn't visit. I let him finish, then slid my business card across the linen. "I own Davis Construction," I said. Mom snapped, "You're lying." Dad laughed and told everyone I was dramatic and construction wasn't a real business. He demanded proof, like I was 14 again, and he still got to decide my reality. So I opened my phone and showed him a signed contract, my state license, and project photos. His tone flipped instantly. "Well," he announced, "I always knew you had it in you." That's when I realized this wasn't reconciliation. It was a pivot. He put a hand on my shoulder and started parading me around, asking questions that sounded like an audit. "How many employees? Who are your clients?" In the hallway, Karen pulled me aside near the coat check. "They showed us pictures of you in Paris," she whispered. "I've never left the state," I said. "I live 40 minutes away." Her eyes went wide. I felt something cold settle in my stomach. My brother cornered me outside and admitted the truth. "Dad found out months ago," he said. "They're broke. This party is a setup. He's going to ask you for money." I couldn't tell if I hated him for warning me or for 10 years of silence before it. Back inside, Dad offered me a drink and that fake warm smile. "Family supports each other," he said. I said, "You mean you want access?" Mom tried softer. "We raised you for 14 years. I said, "You stopped at 14. I went to Grandma and asked who planned the party. "Your father," she said, 6 weeks ago. Her hand trembled in mine. So I went back to the main table and said it loud enough for nearby relatives to hear. "When did you find out about my company, Dad?" He said recently. Grandma corrected him. People started turning. Uncle Steve stood up, chair scraping. "Tell them what you told me," he said. Steve faced the room. He said Michael was the one with potential, Steve said. He said she'd be fine because she was adaptable. He said make a clean break. After that, Dad's face turned purple. Next, his voice sharpened into something mean. Again, he pointed at me like I was an expense. Then he yelled, because he was worth it. For a long beat, nobody spoke. Mom made a small choking sound, and my brother stared at him, wrecked. Dad started backtracking. Mom reached for me. I stepped away. "You don't need to explain," I said. "You finally said the truth." I grabbed my jacket and walked out. Dad followed me into the parking lot, shouting about what I owed. When he grabbed my arm, I twisted free. "No," I said. "I was your daughter. You gave that up." I drove off while he stood there with his phone out, suddenly remembering my number. I blocked them before the next exit. I thought I'd feel guilt. Mostly, I just felt tired and weirdly lighter.